There is a quiet solace in the rooms we inhabit. For some, home is not merely shelter, but a refuge where the world's noise softens, where thoughts can wander unhurried and hearts can rest. To retreat inward is often mistaken for isolation. Yet within these walls, a profound rhythm exists, a subtle, steady pulse of comfort, curiosity, and self-reflection. Those who linger at home do not always flee life. They choose a space where the edges of existence feel softer, where their minds and hearts can move freely, gently, and without judgment. There is a gravity in the spaces we call home, a quiet insistence that draws some souls inward. The walls, worn by time or memory, carry a subtle familiarity that soothes without effort. For the homebody, each corner, each soft shadow, is a compass, guiding them toward emotional equilibrium. The pull is gentle, yet persistent, a preference that is felt before it is consciously understood. The act of remaining inside, of moving slowly through familiar rooms, is not avoidance, but a kind of self-soothing, a way of keeping the world at a manageable distance. Home becomes more than physical space. It transforms into an extension of the self. The scent of old books on a shelf, the faint hum of a refrigerator, or the slant of afternoon light through a window can awaken a profound sense of belonging. Within these boundaries, the mind drifts freely, untethered by the need to perform or conform. There is an intimacy in repetition, making the same cup of tea, returning to the same chair, or listening to the same music, that brings a deep, unspoken satisfaction. This attachment is not always visible to others. Outwardly, it can appear as inertia, hesitation, or reluctance to engage with the wider world. Yet inwardly, it carries the subtle architecture of emotional safety. Each item in the home, each pattern of light and shadow, contributes to a fragile but vital ecosystem of comfort. The homebody's retreat is less a denial of life and more a conscious cultivation of a private rhythm, one that allows thoughts and feelings to settle and unfold at their own pace. There is also a quiet artistry in how homebodies navigate these spaces. Choices are intentional, guided by a subtle awareness of emotional resonance. The way a chair is angled toward a window, the careful arrangement of personal objects, the ritual of closing a door against noise, they all speak to a mind attuned to the delicate balance between stimulation and calm. Ultimately, the pull of familiar walls reflects a deeper human desire, the need to be known and held, even if only by the spaces we inhabit. In recognizing this, the homebody reveals a paradoxical courage, the courage to remain present in solitude, to nurture oneself quietly, and to accept that emotional safety is not found in constant motion, but in stillness, in familiar walls that whisper, "Here, you are enough." The inclination to linger within the home is rarely born in isolation. It is woven through the earliest chapters of life, shaped by subtle patterns that often go unnoticed. Childhood is a landscape of both discovery and constraint, where the emotional textures of family, school, and community quietly map the contours of comfort. For many who become homebodies, early experiences sow the seeds of retreat, forming invisible boundaries that later guide their choices. Attachment plays a profound role. Children who find safety in predictability, parents' calm presence. The gentle rhythm of routines learn to associate emotional security with contained spaces. Conversely, inconsistent or unpredictable environments may cultivate a longing for stability that only home can provide. The walls of a bedroom, the familiar corners of a living room, even a quiet backyard, become more than shelter. They become guardians of a fragile sense of self. Small moments accumulate into enduring patterns. A rainy afternoon spent reading alone, a solitary walk through the garden, The soft glow of a lamp illuminating a favorite Cheryl imprint, a sense of contentment in solitude. These early experiences teach that joy can exist quietly, that pleasure does not always require the approval of others. Over time, the home becomes a mirror for the inner world, reflecting a need for calm, predictability, and emotional replenishment. Yet retreat is not simply a response to challenge. It is often intertwined with personality. Innate temperament interacts with life's circumstances, amplifying a preference for introspection. Some children are naturally sensitive to stimuli, absorbing more of the world than others, and instinctively seek spaces where they can process thoughts without interruption. The home offers a sanctuary where overwhelming sensations can be tempered, where internal landscapes can be navigated safely and without judgment. Even as the world beckons with the promise of novelty and connection, these early lessons linger. The homebody carries forward a delicate understanding that solitude can protect, nurture, and restore. The origins of retreat are therefore neither simple nor singular. They are an intricate layering of experience, temperament, and memory. In tracing these roots, it becomes clear that staying home is less about avoidance and more about honoring a lifelong conversation with oneself. A dialogue begun in childhood and carried forward in quiet reverence for the spaces that feel like home. The preference for home is not only shaped by experience and temperament, it is also deeply rooted in the architecture of the mind and body. Psychology and neuroscience reveal that what feels like retreat is often a natural alignment with how certain brains are wired. For homebodies, solitude is not a void, it is a space rich with neurological and emotional restoration, where the mind can regulate itself and recalibrate its energy. Introversion, a spectro trait rather than a fixed label, plays a central role. Introverts are more sensitive to external stimuli, processing social interactions and environmental noise with greater intensity. While others may gain energy from crowds or novelty, introverts often replenish themselves in quieter, familiar. Home becomes a laboratory of the self, where thoughts, emotions, and creativity can unfold without pressure or distraction. The neurochemical landscape further explains this inclination. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to reward and motivation, responds differently depending on personality and experience. For some, the exhilaration of social novelty is fleeting, and overstimulation can deplete energy rather than replenish it. In these cases, the steady rhythm of familiar spaces allows the brain to stabilize its chemistry, reducing stress and enhancing mood. Cortisol, the stress hormone, diminishes in environments that feel safe and controllable, underscoring why feels restorative. Research on sensory processing sensitivity adds another layer. Some individuals absorb subtle cue sounds, light, textures more acutely. The unpredictability of the outside world can feel overwhelming, triggering a desire for spaces where sensory input can be moderated. At home, lighting, sound, and spatial arrangement are under personal control, allowing the nervous system to function in equilibrium. Beyond neurochemistry, solitude cultivates cognitive benefits. Reflection, problem-solving, and creativity flourish when the mind is given uninterrupted space. Studies show that quiet environments enhance memory, consolidation, and emotional regulation, offering an invisible scaffolding for resilience. May appear as mere withdrawal is, in fact, a sophisticated adaptation, a means of optimizing mental and emotional functioning in a world that often demands constant engagement. Ultimately, the Science of Solitude reframes the homebody, not as someone avoiding life, but as someone whose inner architecture harmonizes with the rhythm of quiet spaces. It reveals a profound truth. The preference for staying home is less about fear or reluctance and more about attuning to a natural, biologically grounded need. In understanding these mechanisms, one sees that homebodies are navigating life with awareness, preserving their emotional and cognitive well-being with deliberate care, quietly aligned with the needs of their own minds. Even as the home offers refuge, it exists in tension with the world outside. For homebodies, a quiet life is often shadowed by a subtle, persistent friction between the comfort of solitude and the expectations imposed by society. There are voices, sometimes external, sometimes internal, that question the choice to linger within familiar walls. You should go out more. Life is happening out there. Or simply, the unspoken gaze of peers can create unease. These pressures stir a quiet conflict, an inner dialogue that can feel both trivial and profound. This tension often manifests as guilt or shame. The homebody may sense an invisible measure by which their life is being judged: social calendars, invitations, or career norms that reward visibility and constant activity. Their preference for quiet, for stillness, can be misinterpreted as withdrawal, laziness, or fear. The dissonance is subtle but persistent. The mind knows the safety of home is real. Yet external messages insist that value resides elsewhere. Psychologically, this inner conflict is amplified by cognitive dissonance, the clash between personal comfort and societal expectation. The homebody negotiates two worlds, one of self-alignment and one of social validation. Each invitation declined, each crowded event avoided, becomes a negotiation between authenticity and perceived obligation. The tension can spark self-doubt, a questioning of identity, or even envy of those who effortlessly navigate the external sphere. Yet this struggle is not inherently negative. It highlights the depth of human consciousness, the capacity to weigh desires against norms, to feel deeply for both oneself and the world beyond. Homebodies learn, often subtly, that their internal life has its own richness, even if it is unseen by others. They navigate guilt with quiet compromise, brief excursions, selective social engagements, or the gentle balancing of home and world. Each act of choice becomes a practice in understanding priorities, boundaries, and personal rhythms. The conflict between worlds is a silent narrative of adaptation. It reveals the homebody's courage in maintaining emotional integrity, in valuing introspection over constant external reward. While society may not always recognize it, this tension underscores a profound negotiation with life itself. The homebody is learning how to honor both inner stability and external reality, crafting a life that resonates with their own cadence, even in the face of misunderstanding or subtle pressure. In these moments, the home becomes not just a space, but a sanctuary of choice, a place where they can feel both safe and seen, if only by themselves, while the wider world continues its inexorable hum beyond the walls. There comes a moment, often quiet and unremarkable, when the homebody begins to see their solitude not as retreat, but as a deliberate, sustaining choice. It may arise during an afternoon spent in uninterrupted thought, or in the simple pleasure of a routine repeated with care. In these moments, the walls of the home no longer feel confining, they feel affirming. The realization is subtle. The life lived within these spaces carries depth, meaning, and a quiet resilience often invisible to the outside world. This understanding often emerges through reflection. Looking back on years of preference for home, the homebody may recognize patterns of self-care disguised as avoidance. The afternoons of reading alone, the evenings spent immersed in music, the quiet observation of light shifting across familiar surfaces were not acts of isolation, but of self. The external world, with its relentless expectations, may have seemed more urgent than it was. Within the home, however, there is space to experience life fully, if differently. It is also a realization about authenticity. By embracing the rhythms that feel natural, the homebody begins to recognize that their life need not mirror the lives of others. The quiet pursuit of comfort, curiosity, and creative engagement is legitimate. Social calendars, invitations, and outward accolades, once seen as benchmarks, lose their weight. The value of life is no longer measured solely by visibility or activity, but by the depth of attention, the clarity of thought, and the richness of emotional experience cultivated within safe spaces. This insight often brings a gentle liberation. Guilt softens, anxiety diminishes, and the inner narrative shifts from judgment to acceptance. The homebody sees that their choice of solitude is adaptive, purposeful, and even courageous. It is a commitment to living in alignment with one's inner needs, a recognition that introspection, reflection, and quiet presence are not only valid, but essential to mental and emotional well-being. Ultimately, the moments of realization illuminate a subtle truth: the home is more than refuge, it is a vessel for self-discovery. It allows the homebody to engage with life on their own terms, to cultivate emotional richness, and to navigate the world with quiet confidence. In this understanding, solitude is reframed, not as an absence, but as a conscious presence, a deliberate attunement to the mind, heart, and the slow unfolding of one's inner world. As understanding deepens, the homebody discovers a delicate balance between the sanctuary of home and the demands of the outer world. Integration is not about abandoning solitude, but about harmonizing it with life beyond familiar walls. It is a process of learning when to step outward, how to engage selectively, and how to return without losing the calm that makes home so sustaining. Flourishing emerges not from constant visibility, but from the alignment of internal rhythm with external experience. Selective engagement becomes a cornerstone of this integration. The homebody learns that connection need not be exhaustive to be meaningful. Moments shared with close friends, brief excursions, or purposeful social participation are not burdens. They are curated experiences that complement the life within. The focus shifts from pleasing others to honoring one's own needs, transforming every choice into an act of self-respect and intentionality. Boundaries, both physical and emotional, are embraced. Doors are closed, not in fear, but in conscious protection of energy. Quiet corners are cultivated not as hiding places, but as spaces of reflection, creativity, and restoration. By defining the terms of engagement with the world, the homebody preserves the vitality that solitude provides, while allowing for moments of external interaction that feel genuine and sustaining. Creativity and self-expression often flourish in these conditions. Within the home, the mind can wander, explore, and experiment without interruption. The safety of familiar spaces nurtures imagination, fosters problem-solving, and allows for emotional processing in a measured, thoughtful way. It is in this space that the homebody's internal life deepens, cultivating insights and emotional intelligence that ripple outward into relationships, work, and the wider world. Flourishing is also an acceptance of difference. The homebody comes to recognize that their pattern of life is valid, that fulfillment is not measured by activity or visibility, but by alignment with inner values. There is a quiet pride in living authentically, in honoring personal rhythms while participating selectively in the world. Life need not be constant motion to be meaningful. It can be a measured dance of retreat and engagement, solitude and connection. In integration, the home is no longer a retreat from life, it is a foundation for it. The homebody emerges, not diminished by solitude, but strengthened by it. They move through the world with awareness, depth, and presence, carrying the lessons of their inner sanctuary into a life that is quietly whole, deeply reflective, and richly lived. There is a certain poetry in lives lived quietly, in the slow unfolding of days within familiar walls. The homebody moves through existence like a soft current, touching the world gently yet deliberately, leaving impressions that are subtle but enduring. These lives are often invisible to the casual observer, yet within their quiet rhythms lies a depth of feeling and thought that many never encounter. It is here, in the stillness of routine and reflection, that a profound intimacy with life emerges. The rooms of a home become stages for the inner life. A chair by the window hosts contemplations on light and shadow. A kitchen table witnesses small acts of creation and care. The soft hum of domestic machinery, the shifting of sunlight across a floor, the quiet breathing of pets or houseplants all become companions, subtle mirrors of the mind and heart. In this attentiveness, the homebody cultivates a life rich with emotional texture. Even in the absence of outward recognition, there is also a rhythm to these lives, a patient, meditative cadence. Time is measured not by obligations or schedules imposed by others, but by cycles of thought, observation, and quiet engagement. This rhythm allows the mind to wander, the heart to settle, and the self to be known deeply. Joy, sadness, curiosity, and reflection exist in full measure, contained not by space, but by the intimacy of awareness. Quiet lives teach a gentle lesson about human resilience. They remind us that richness does not always require spectacle, that presence can be profound without outward demonstration. They reveal the subtle courage of choosing one's own environment, of honoring internal needs amidst a world that prizes constant activity. The homebody's existence is a quiet affirmation that life can be fully lived within soft boundaries, in the embrace of spaces that allow thought, feeling, and imagination to flourish. And so, these lives linger in quiet beauty. They are not lesser, nor are they incomplete. They are fully human, shaped by reflection, tenderness, and deliberate attentiveness. In the stillness of home, the homebody discovers not emptiness, but a world full of depth. The choice to remain quietly present becomes a celebration of the self-a recognition that richness is often found not in noise or movement, but in the gentle, reflective pulse of life, lived in harmony with one's own mind, heart, and spaces that feel like home.